As I share my thoughts, I want to be responsible, honest, and respectful, but in no way apologetic about the rage and resentment that many of us have been suppressing for far too long. In turn, I hope that we can be equally as honest about the prejudice, bias, and narrow-mindedness that many of us have felt our nation has been disguising and denying for far too long. As you transition into your role as the President of the United States, you will undoubtedly be one of the most watched people in the history of the world. So, I can't help but ask, in the midst of our nation's calamity and discord, what do you want us to see? Well, maybe I should take the time to share what many of us would like you to see. Should it ever seem at times as though we are against you, I assure you it's a result of you defining yourself as the representative for those who are and always have been against us. The deck has always been stacked against us in this country. With every generation, there's been strategic steps taken to oppress, imprison, and control us. All we've ever wanted was equality and empathy as the historically disenfranchised citizens that we are, in a nation that we've contributed to just as much as anyone else who calls America their home. We've helped to mold the arts and culture of this country, as well as help build, create, and contribute to its greatness, contrary to popular belief. From an economic perspective, our community's buying power is the strongest of all consumers. Yet we're shown repeatedly that our lives don't matter as much as our dollars, let alone as that of a person of a different race or a lighter skin color. These basic human rights of freedom and equality are ones that every religious book of reference says is a God-given right that should be fought for and defended with one's life. But we do so much as take a knee during the national anthem and is looked upon as un-American. Yet still many of us continue to live in life-threatening, unspeakable conditions with poisonous water systems, failing schools, broken criminal justice systems, lack of decent health care and affordable housing, all while scraping for basic living wage. You see, many of us are still fighting to find our way. Now I'm sharing with you some of the things that separate us in hopes of creating healthy dialogue that may unite us and mend the gaping wound that has gone unattended for generations. Now, I will be the first to admit and cannot deny that many of us have issues that we have not dealt with and that must be addressed. Many of us have been perpetuators of darkness and sometimes destruction. While there is no excuse for such actions, there may be an explanation. When one has been conditioned to have no sense of self and everything he knows has been given to or forced onto him by his oppressors, from religion to language to his last name, that leaves a person in imminent darkness, leaving them to only be able to offer imminent darkness. So when we speak of such darkness, we cannot and must not forget the source of that darkness. One of the most prolific figures of all time, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. eloquently paraphrased Victor Hugo when asked about the turmoil and state of the black community. He said, "Where there is darkness, crimes will be committed. The guilty one is not merely he who commits the crime, but he who caused the darkness." So I can't help but ask on behalf of all of us, how do we address and hold accountable those who create, allow, and prolong this darkness? You see, I don't want to disengage from a democracy that I understand many of us would die for, nor do I want to engage in a democracy where all of us who are a part of it are not allowed to live with the same basic promise, protections, and principles of freedom, equality, and justice for all. You know, the stuff wrote on the Constitution. I've chosen my words carefully writing this letter, as I am trying to become a better me, so that I can better understand how to see a better you and be better for us. If we all just start there, then I believe we can truly make collective progress. As we continue to go on together as a nation, I apologize in advance for the friction and hostility that inevitably comes with us feeling years of pain, neglect, resentment, and not being heard. I am hopeful that we will not go and repeat the mistakes of the past. I am hopeful that we will work to right our wrongs and become better men and women and a better nation. In closing, I can't help but ask one final question, man to man. A simple yet profound question recently asked of me. When the stage is dark and the lights and cameras off, who are you? And more importantly, who do you want to be? Is it the man we heard during your campaign inciting racism and perpetuating prejudices? Or is it the man we met after the election that said he'd be a president for all people? This is very important. I mean, I myself would love to know. Just a thought to ponder as your passage to the White House begins. Respectfully yours, Tim Harris.